Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, everybody. All those who have joined and all those who are yet to join. What we did yesterday was what all things we did yesterday. Yesterday we started with this unit called methods of cooking food. Okay, Alankrit, I'll come to it. Alankrit, just hold on to it. In fact, Alankrit, convection would be the right method in an air fryer. Okay, it's an air fryer, Alankrit. It says the answer is in the app only. Sir, app not working. Okay, Atisham, no problem. You can take your time. Okay, so yesterday what we did was we started with methods of cooking food. Uh, before coming to the methods of cooking, different methods of cooking, what we discussed first was different modes of heat transfer. So there are different modes by which heat gets transferred. Now heat is required to cook food. हीट की जरूरत है खाना बनाने के लिए. अब हीट को जो हम कैसे कैसे हीट ट्रांसफर होता है कुकिंग करते वक्त, उसको हमने सबसे पहले वी डिस्कस दैट फर्स्ट. सो what were the different modes of heat transfer? The first mode of heat transfer was conduction, the second one was convection, and the third one was radiation. Okay, conduction, convection, and radiation. So the first one was your conduction. Conduction is traveling of heat within a solid matter. Like yesterday we discussed whether the heat comes in contact with the pan comes in contact with the food, and the food gets cooked. So that is known as conduction. The greatest example or the most commonest example of it is chapati getting cooked on a tawa. So that is the most common example of conduction. Okay, then after conduction, the next one was convection. Convection is what we see in a day-to-day life, in which a heat is passed on to a medium, and through a medium our food gets cooked. It can be boiling of vegetable, it can be boiling of egg, it can be baking in a convection oven. When you bake a sponge in your microwave with a fan, then it has got a convection option there also. So convection is when you put food in a medium in which air is or heat is getting circulated. So medium can be water, medium can be air. Okay, so there are two mediums, air or water. किसी भी medium से जब heat transfer होती है, that is known as convection. Okay, that type of heat transfer is convection. Very common in our day-to-day lives. Whatever, most of the cookings what we do is convection, most of the cooking. Okay, then there is radiation. Radiation means when heat radiates from a heat source to the food. So there is a heat source which is on top, it can be heat source on the bottom. When the heat radiates and the food stuff is not touching the heat source, okay, it is not touching the heat source, only food is, or the rays are radiating, they are penetrating inside the food, or they are just touching the skin. दोनों तरीके से रेडिएशन होती है. Salamander is infrared radiation, where the rays comes and they hit and they brown the top surface. That's how cooking is done in salamander. While the microwave is something in which the microwaves comes and they radiates, they go inside the food, they agitate the water molecules, steam बनती है, and through that cooking is done. Okay, so there are two types of radiation, microwave and infrared. Microwave is in your microwave cooking, infrared is in your salamander. Okay, convection has only, Ranveer, yes, convection has two mediums, generally two mediums only, that is your water and air. Okay, two mediums. Okay, Ranveer, you will hold on to that question of grilling and roasting. I'll address it today. Okay, yesterday you asked that question, we're going to address it today. So after radiation, we come to the next are different cooking methods. So what are the different cooking methods? There are three kinds of cooking methods. There are dry heat methods, moist heat methods, and combination methods. There are three types of cooking methods: dry heat methods, moist heat methods, and combination methods. What we are focusing on is dry heat and moist heats. So dry heat method are methods in which there is no moisture is being used. Although some kind of oil is used in dry heat methods, moist heat methods are those methods in which either water or steam is used. So any kind of cooking which involves water or steam is moist heat method. So you'll find in southern part of India, you'll find that moist heat method of cooking is far more. Most of the food stuff which we make is either steamed or boiled in the southern part of India. Dry heat methods in places where there is a lot of cold or winters, there you will find dry heat methods being used very often. Okay. Next, the same methods of cooking. Moist heat method are blanching, poaching, steaming, and boiling. That are general moist heat methods. Dry heat methods are your baking, grilling, and roasting. And dry heat method using oils is sauteing, stir frying, and deep frying. So all the kind of frying is dry heat method using oil. All the kind of roasting, grilling, and baking in which dry heat method is used. Dry heat method is only through air. That is known as baking, grilling, and roasting. So that is dry heat method using heat. Okay, so let's come to the first method. First method was sauteing. Sauteing is dry heat method using oil. So in sauteing, we use very little fat, but we use some amount of fat so that our food stuff does not stick to the pan. Okay, and saute means to jump. That means you take a pan, you heat the pan, you put little bit of oil, you add the food stuff, and you quickly toss it. Toss it in a pan, or you make it jump in a pan. That is known as sauteing. It is done in moderate heat with very little fat. The mode of heat transfer in this sauteing is, your conduction. Key points of sauteing: only the prime quality of food is used. Why prime quality of food is used is because generally prime quality of meat is used is because sauteing is a very it's not a very time taking process. It's a very fast process. So if you're going to use, if you want your meats to get cooked, then you want it to be prime quality so that it cooks very fast. Okay. Generally no liquid is added. It's only oil, little bit of oil, and you're just sauteing it. It is done on medium or moderate heat. If you're using high heat to jump something, that is known as stir fry. I'll come to that later. Okay. Mode of heat transfer is conduction. Equipments used are your frying pan or saute pan. Next is frying. Frying is yesterday when we finished the class, we were till here. So frying is actually one of the most fastest method of cooking in the kitchen. In frying, generally the temperature is around 190 degrees Celsius. And whenever I say frying, I mean deep frying. So there are two kinds of frying. There is one deep frying and there is shallow frying. But generally when I say frying, if I use only the word frying, then I mean deep frying. Okay. The only thing which you have to keep in mind while frying is that your oil should not get heated too much. Okay. There is a smoke point of oil and there is a flash point of oil. Okay, so there is a smoke point of oil and there is a flash point of oil. So there's a smoke point and there's a flash point of oil. Okay, Arman. Yeah, I got it. So there's smoke point, flash point. Flash point is somewhere the oil gets heated. Okay, oil will catch fire. That is called a flash point. Okay, so we have to take in view whenever we are frying that our oil does not get so much heated that it catches fire. So that is the only thing. Second thing is that if you are frying something which has got water in it, if there is something which has got water in it and you are going to use that, okay, then there are chances that it might cause splutter. Splutter means उसमें से छींटे आएंगी. ठीक है, वो छींटों से आपके हाथ में लग के आपको बर्न्स हो सकते हैं. तो ये थोड़ी चीजें, कुछ चीजें आपको ध्यान देनी है. एक आपको ध्यान देना है कि आपका स्प्लटर ना हो. दूसरा आपको ये ध्यान देना है कि फ्लैश पॉइंट ना हो. ठीक है. सो दिस इज फ्राइंग. So frying, the first kind of frying is deep frying. Now what is deep frying? If you can see the picture, the food stuff or your so-called French fries, the potato sticks, they are submerged fully inside the oil. So this is the oil and they are submerged fully inside the oil in a pan. This is called deep frying. So deep frying is something in which you fry the food stuff at 190 degrees Celsius. You fried the food stuff, but the frying stuff, whatever food stuff you're going to fry, that is completely submerged. जो भी आप food stuff fry करने जा रहे हैं, वो oil के अंदर पूरा का पूरा submerged होना चाहिए. ठीक है, that is known as deep frying. ठीक है, that is known as deep frying. So deep frying में, and then the other kind of frying is shallow fry or pan fry. Shallow fry और pan fry हम generally उन stuffs का करते हैं जो हमको generally हम जब हमको ब्रेजिंग करनी होती है या हमको pan fried chicken सर्व करना होता है या हमको pan fried fish सर्व करना होता है, तब हम pan fries करते हैं. Pan fry करने के लिए आपको एक चीज ध्यान रखना है कि आपका जो pan होना चाहिए वो hot होना चाहिए. ठीक है, that should be hot. If it is cold, then whatever food stuff you're going to put inside the pan, that is going to stick to the bottom. जनरली क्या होता है, आपका जो फूड स्टॉक होता है स्टिक हो जाता है वो, या रंजीत, यस, आलू टिक्की इज एन एग्जांपल ऑफ पैन फ्राई. Vegetarian example is aloo tikki, non-vegetarian example is chicken, fish, etc., etc. Okay, so that is pan fry. Even frying your egg also is an example of pan fry. Okay, so pan fry is when you are cooking at a moderate heat and the food stuff which you are putting in the pan, it is not completely submerged. जो pan के अंदर food stuff है और oil है, oil उसको completely submerge नहीं कर रहा है, थोड़ा सा oil है और उसमें आप shallow pan में आप food डाल रहे हैं और उसको आप फ्राई कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, उसको हम कहते हैं शैलो फ्राई और पैन फ्राई. नाउ व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन योर शैलो फ्राई एंड डीप फ्राइंग एंड शैलो फ्राई? इन डीप फ्राइंग फूड इज कंप्लीटली इमर्स्ड इन फैट. सो इन डीप फ्राइंग फूड जो होता है वो फैट के अंदर कंप्लीटली इमर्स्ड होता है. इन शैलो फ्राइंग फूड इज ओनली हाफ वे थ्रू. दैट इज द मैक्सिमम फूड कैन डू, हाफ वे थ्रू या उससे भी कम. अगर आप बहुत ज्यादा हेल्थ कॉन्शियस हैं, यू कैन डू इवन लेस ऑफ than that. Okay, so food is halfway through. In deep frying food is completely immersed in fat. ठीक है, डीप फ्राइंग में कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है कि आप कौन सा साइड पहले डाल रहे हैं. फॉर एग्जांपल, if I want to deep fry chicken breast, it doesn't matter which side I'm putting it first, it is going to go some completely inside the oil. But in shallow frying, this is very, very important. When you are doing shallow frying in a pan which has got a fat in it, the first side which goes in is the presentation side. तो आपको गेस्ट को जो साइड दिखाना है सबसे पहले, वो सबसे पहले पैन में जाता है. आप पैन में जाता है, आप उसको कलर करते हैं, कलर अच्छा सा कलर आने के बाद यू ट्विस्ट इट, उसको ट्विस्ट करते हैं, उसको अपसाइड डाउन करते हैं और फिर दूसरी साइड से आप पूरी कुकिंग कर देते हैं उसकी. ठीक है, सो दैट द ब्यूटीफुल लुकिंग साइड गोज ऑन top. Beautiful looking side, that nice golden brown color top goes to the guests. जब हम चिकन और फिश करते हैं स्पेशली, तो जो प्रेजेंटेशन साइड होती है, जो साइड हमको गेस्ट को प्रेजेंट करना होता है, वो शैलो फ्राइंग में पहले जाता है पैन के अंदर. ये हमेशा ध्यान रखेंगे. अगर आपने दूसरा साइड पहले डाल दिया और प्रेजेंटेशन साइड बाद में डाला, तो प्रेजेंटेशन साइड डर्टी हो सकता है. ओके, तो इसीलिए शैलो फ्राइंग करते वक्त प्रेजेंटेशन साइड शुड ऑलवेज गो फर्स्ट टू द पैन. While in deep frying, it doesn't matter because it is going to go completely immersed in fat. Okay, cooking medium in deep frying is oil or a very high quality fat. Generally, it is oil. Different kinds of oil are used: canola, mustard, coconut, and any different kind of oils can be used for making for deep frying. Butter नहीं यूज होता है डीप फ्राइंग के लिए, क्योंकि बटर का जो स्मोक पॉइंट होता है, जो फ्लैश पॉइंट होता है, वो कम होता है. अगर मैं बटर डीप फ्राइंग के लिए यूज करूंगा तो बटर का जो स्मोक पॉइंट इज वेरी लेस, सो देयर आर चांसेस दैट it catches fire or it burns very fast. But when you are doing shallow frying, you can do butter or oil, anything. But generally what the modern chefs they do is they add little bit of butter and they add little bit of oil also in it. Okay, so they add little bit of butter and they add little bit of oil. Okay, so that is known as shallow frying. Then in deep frying, what is the method? Mode of heat transfer. Mode of heat transfer is convection. So if I come back to the deep frying slide, you see the mode of heat transfer is convection. So heat is coming from the bottom. So heat is coming from the, one minute. The heat is coming from here. From here the heat is coming. So heat is coming from the bottom. It is heating up the oil. So oil is getting heated. Once the oil is getting heated, they add the food. Okay, so heat from here is transferring to oil, and from oil it is getting transferred to the food. Clear, guys? So that is known as deep frying. Okay, so that is known as deep frying. So the mode of heat convection, mode of heat transfer is convection. While in shallow frying, mode of heat transfer is conduction. Mode of heat transfer is conduction. Generally it is conduction. But in some of the cases, what the chefs do is they heat, they shallow fry the pan, and if it's chicken and all, they'll put it in the oven also. The pan, they will put it in the oven to finish it off. So in that kind of cooking, you can call it convection also, but generally cooking in shallow frying is conduction. Now coming to Mishra's, Gopal Arvind Mishra's question that why they add both oil and butter. Gopal, kya hota hai beta, when you use only butter burns very fast. Okay, so if you are for example I've got a very delicate piece of fish और वो white fish है और मुझे उसको pan sear करना है, अगर मेरा बटर बहुत जल्दी गर्म हो जाएगा तो उसके मिल्क सॉलिड्स अलग हो जाते हैं, वो क्लैरिफाई बहुत जल्दी हो जाता है, घी बहुत जल्दी बन जाता है उसका, सो द मिल्क सॉलिड्स गेट सेपरेट एंड मिल्क सॉलिड गेट्स बर्न्ड, वो ब्लैक उसमें स्पॉट्स आते हैं, दोस ब्लैक स्पॉट्स यू कैन सी देन ऑन योर fish or your meat. So to avoid that, what chefs do is they put butter and they put little bit of oil. When they mix both of them together, because oil ka smoke point or heating point thoda zyada hai, so it safeguards the butter also. That way your fat gets heated also and you don't see that black spots coming onto your product. That's why many of the chefs, they add both butter and oil while cooking. Okay, so in deep frying method, mode of heat transfer was convection. In shallow frying, mode of heat transfer is conduction. Okay, deep frying में equipment कौन सा use होता है? Deep fried में आपके fat fryers use होते हैं, fat fryers which are used to make French fries. If you've been to McDonald's, you would have seen French fries being made. If you've been to Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts, you would have seen those companies making big donuts, large quantities of donuts in a frying machine, in a fryer. Those are known as deep fat fryers. उनको deep fat fryers कहते हैं. और घर पे अगर आपको बहुत ही normal example if I have to give, then that is कढ़ाई. कढ़ाई is the most simpler example of a deep frying equipment. While shallow frying equipment can be a saute pan, it can be a sauce pan, any kind of shallow pan. Deep pan नहीं होगा, shallow pan होगा, height थोड़ी कम होगी, उस तरह के pans जो use होते हैं, that are used for shallow frying. Okay guys, so deep frying, shallow frying, what is the difference? Deep frying, food is completely immersed in fat. Shallow frying, food is half immersed. Deep frying does not mean, it does not have a special side in which you have to put in. Shallow frying में हमेशा जो presentation side है वो पहले जाती है. Deep frying cooking medium is oil. Shallow frying can be butter or oil. Deep frying mode of heat transfer is convection only. Shallow frying mode of heat transfer can be conduction, can be convection. Deep frying food equipment used can be kadai or can be a deep fat fryer. Shallow frying, the equipment used is a saute pan. Okay, is it clear guys? Is there any doubt in this? Sir, is samosa jalebi example of shallow frying? Arman Khan, yes, you can say samosa. No, samosa is deep frying. Whatever is completely immersed is deep frying. Jalebi, you can say yeah, shallow frying maybe. Okay, clear guys? Everything is clear? Is there any doubt in this? No? Ghee can be used for both shallow frying and deep frying? Yes, Ranveer, it can be used. That is the advantage of using ghee. Yeah, can be used for both. Clear? Amazing. So we'll move to the next. Next is your stir frying. Now stir frying is actually when these methods of cooking were made, no, these methods of cooking were made for French cuisine. ये फ्रेंच cuisine के लिए बनाया गया था, तो उनके में शैलो फ्राइंग होता था और उनमें सौते होता था, क्योंकि सौते फ्रेंच वर्ड ही है, और उसमें डीप फ्राई होता है. स्टर फ्राइंग जो है वो एक चाइनीज टेक्निक है. ठीक है, दिस व्हेन ओरिएंटल कुजीन, जो ओरिएंटल कुजीन है, जो चाइना, जापान, कोरिया, फिलीपींस, यहाँ की जो कुजीन है, जब ये कुजीन बहुत फेमस हुई, और इनमें सबसे ज्यादा फेमस हुई चाइनीज कुजीन, जब ये कुजीन बहुत फेमस होने लगी तब स्टर फ्राइंग को लिया गया. और ये फेमस कैसे हुई? ट्रैवलर्स, जो डच ट्रैवलर्स हैं, चाइना में एक जगह है which is known as Shanghai, if you've seen, there's a movie also which is made on it. So is it breaking for everybody guys? Is my voice breaking for everyone? Yeah, well, I can't help it, guys. No, sir, it's clear. Okay, amazing. Then there's something to do with the internet connection, guys, because I think it is fine. Okay, from my end, it's fine. Thank you. So those travelers, no, when they traveled to China, they had a particular, उनका एक अपना particular mindset था of cooking. And Chinese was totally different. Chinese, which we eat in India, is Indo-Chinese. That is not Chinese. If you go to China and you eat the real Chinese, that is totally different. Totally different. Okay. But when these people reach there, then those shaomai, जिसको हम यहाँ पे मोमोज कहते हैं, shaomai को फ्राई किया गया और वो wontons बन गए. क्यों? Because the Europeans travelers were coming, the traders जो चाइना आ रहे थे सिल्क के लिए, स्पेशली वो सिल्क के लिए आते थे. ठीक है, सिल्क के लिए और बैम्बू से बनी हुई चीजें देखने के लिए, स्पाइसेस के लिए, टी के लिए. जब लोग पीपल वर ट्रैवलिंग टू चाइना, They wanted a food, they wanted kind of techniques which are being done in their part, in their country. So Chinese people, they improvised according to what the guest want, और फिर चाइनीज cuisine को भी improvise किया गया. इसीलिए आप जो शंघाई की cuisine देखेंगे वो बिल्कुल different है, बहुत modern है as compared to the old Chinese cuisine. अगर आप पेकिंग रीजन जाएंगे या आप शेजवान रीजन जाएंगे चाइना में, या हुनान रीजन जाएंगे, ऐसे रीजन्स हैं चाइना में, आप थर्ड ईयर में पढ़ेंगे इसके बारे में. इन रीजन्स की जो कुकिंग है, the cooking in these regions is totally different to what you see in Shanghai. Totally different. Why? Because of the influence of the Westerners. So when Chinese cooking became very famous, at that time stir frying became famous. Okay? So when Chinese cooking became famous, stir frying became famous. So stir frying is a type of cooking technique in which you use very high heat. It's a very high temperature heat and very less oil. It's a very fast method of cooking. So it's like a sauteing, but it is done very fast, even faster than sauteing. So what is the difference between saute and stir fry? In stir fry, the heat is very high, while in sauteing, the heat was moderate. Okay, both of them you require it to jump. But in Chinese cuisine, the full how should I put it? The full attention or full detailing of the chef goes in how the meat is cut, how the meat is looking, because Chinese cuisine, the original Chinese cuisine, it is all about colors. They are very beautifully colored gravies and beautifully colored stir fry vegetables which they make. So color has to be highlighted, or color highlight kaise hoga? When you finish your cooking very fast. Okay, so that is stir frying. Mode of heat transfer in stir frying is conduction. ठीक है, कंडक्शन. रणवीर, इट डज नॉट कम, कंडक्शन और कन्वेक्शन कोई हेडिंग नहीं है जिसके अंडर दे आते हैं. कंडक्शन, कन्वेक्शन, रेडिएशन आर जस्ट मोड्स ऑफ हीट ट्रांसफर. हीट ट्रांसफर के मोड्स हैं, अलग अलग मोड से हीट ट्रांसफर होते हैं. दीज आर आल्सो मोड्स ऑफ हीट ट्रांसफर. ओके, so that's how stir fry became very prominent, and now we are studying because Chinese cuisine had thus such kind of influence on the world cuisine. Okay. After stir frying, the next kind of dry heat method is broiling. Now, broiling is similar to sauteing. It is similar to sauteing. It is similar to shallow fry. The only difference is there is no fat. No fat. So in sauteing, you add little bit of fat. In shallow fry, you add like moderate amount of fat you can go till half of the foodstuff. In your broiling, there is no fat. So example of broiling can be your chapati, no fat. Okay, but if you are putting little bit of fat also, then that is not known as broiling. Broiling is no fat. So some of the food stuff like pita can be broiled method. If you're making it on a tawa, tacos, if you're making it on a tawa, all these are broiling method food stuff. Those are called broiling method. Okay, तो आप pan लेते हैं, pan में moderate heat रहता है, food stuff touches the pan and cooking is done. Okay, food stuff touches the pan and cooking is done. So heat is coming from the bottom, it is touching the pan, and from through pan is touching through the food and heating is happening. So mode of heat transfer is conduction. Clear, guys? So mode of heat transfer is conduction in broiling. So after broiling, the next is baking. So the next dry heat method is baking. Dosa, yes, Mishra, dosa. Dosa is an example. If you're not putting oil in it, yes, it's an example of deep fry, of broiling. Okay? Then another dry heat method of cooking is baking. Baking is a dry heat method of cooking which uses only heat. So we are not talking about any kind of oil here. It uses only heat. Okay? So baking is when you cook a food, exposing it to a hot, dry air in an oven. And we have discussed it before also that baking, anything, Ranveer, if you are not adding any kind of fat, then that is your broiling. Okay? So just keep it very simple. If you're not adding any kind of fat, then that is broiling. Okay. So baking is Baking is to cook by exposing food to hot or dry air in an oven. Okay, so if there is an oven and you're putting a chicken inside the oven, then baking is cooking using a dry heat. Okay, dry heat. So temperature can go up to 240 degrees Celsius. When we are making sourdoughs, we take the temperature to 240 degrees Celsius. When we are making pizza, when we are making pizza, the temperature can go up to 350 degrees Celsius. ठीक है, पिज्जा में 350 डिग्री सेल्सियस भी जाता है. और पिज्जा जो है वो कॉम्बिनेशन मेथड है. If you see pizza, they take those big peels, they put pizza on peels. Peels होता है वो जो लकड़ी का एक बहुत बड़ा उनके हाथ में डंडा होता है जिसके ऊपर वो पिज्जा रखते हैं. And they जो shovel जो होता है वो shovel से वो पिज्जा को ओवन के अंदर डालते हैं. When pizza goes inside the oven, it is touching the bottom of the oven. So conduction, heat ऊपर से आ रही है, that is radiation. ठीक है, और अगर अंदर फैन भी लगाए तो दैट इज कन्वेक्शन. सो इट्स अ कॉम्बिनेशन मेथड ऑफ कुकिंग पिज्जा. ठीक है, पिज्जा में ब्रॉइलिंग भी हो रही है क्योंकि देयर इज नो फैट, नीचे से हीट आ रही है. ब्रॉइलिंग भी हो रही है और रोस्टिंग भी हो रही है, बेकिंग भी हो रही है. ठीक है, सो बेकिंग भी हो रही है, ब्रॉइलिंग भी हो रही है. सो देयर आर डिफरेंट मेथड्स. कोई कुछ आइटम्स ऐसे होते हैं जो कॉम्बिनेशन मेथड से भी बनाए जाते हैं. ठीक है, तो ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि आपको ऑल द फूड स्टफ यू विल फाइंड बीइंग डन ओनली बाय बेकिंग. All the food stuff will be done only by frying. There would be food stuff which will be shallow fried first and then they will be boiled in a gravy. So it's a combination method of cooking. ठीक है, so combination of method of cooking को भी use किया जाता है different foods बनाने के लिए. So baking, now coming back to baking, what is baking? Baking is cooking of food when you are exposing the food to hot air. Now when we talk about deck oven, you will see that there is a rod on the top, there is a rod on the bottom, and heat is radiating from the rods. Okay, so heat is radiating, there's a air, whatever air is inside, it is radiating through the air and it is coming to the food. Okay, that is known as baking. So baking can be a convection baking, can be an infrared baking. Baking can be of two types. Temperature can be 100 to 240 degrees Celsius. For exceptional cases, baking temperatures can go up to 350 to 400 degrees Celsius also. Mode of heat transfer in baking is convection, conduction, and radiation. So all the three things happens when we bake. Depending on what we are baking, mode of heat transfers will keep on changing. So if I'm baking only a bread और जो loaf pan के अंदर है and I'm putting it on the floor of the pan, on the floor of the deck oven, then that is only conduction. तो मैं क्या बना रहा हूँ उस पर डिपेंड करेगा what kind of mode of heat transfer is happening. Okay, so that is your baking. After baking, the next is grilling. So after baking, the next mode of heat transfer or next method of cooking is grilling. Grilling is, simply to put, grilling is when there is a heat coming from bottom and from the top, and there are steel bars. There are steel bars and you are cooking food on that. Is called grilling. Generally, grilling जो होती है, जो American grilling है या जो आपकी Western grillings है, उसमें you will find that heat radiates only from the bottom. Heat only bottom में से आता है. Bars होते हैं और उन bars के ऊपर आप food को रखते हैं. You keep the food on the steel bars and you cook it. That is known as grilling. So which means to cook on metal bars over radiant heat. So the heat which is coming can be either through wood, can be through coal. किसी एक तरीके से आता है और हीट करता है, उसको हम कहते हैं ग्रिलिंग. बारबेक्यूइंग इज ऑलमोस्ट सिमिलर टू ग्रिलिंग. ओनली डिफरेंस ये है कि बारबेक्यूइंग में ये जो मेटल बार्स आपको दिख रहे हैं, these metal bars which you are seeing in barbecuing, these metal bars won't be there. Okay, it can be square grills also in barbecuing. So it's not essential that it has to be a metal bars or these ऐसे line bars नहीं होने चाहिए. तो जब हम whenever we grill something, how do we figure out that it's a grilled chicken or grilled cheese, grilled chicken? How do we figure out? Is through those grill marks. Grill marks जब आते हैं तब उसको हम grill कहते हैं. ठीक है? Is it clear, guys? Can you guys just hold on, please? Yeah. Okay. So my mouse was just stuck. Okay, so this is called as grilling. Now, whenever we say grilling, we always talk about some French terms. अब आप लोगों ने I don't know how many of you have seen steak houses, but in America there is a culture in America and Japan and Korea, because Japan and Korea are two as such countries, especially South Korea. South Korea and Japan are two such countries which are very much influenced by Western cuisine, very much influenced. So in South Korea and in Japan, you will find that people are using Kobe beef. So I'll just put it on the chat box. It is known as Kobe beef. Okay, आप देखिएगा इसको, पढ़िएगा इसके बारे में. It is a special kind of a meat where meat and fat are marbled together. Okay, and it is being served in Japan, in Korea, and now being shipped to America also, and people eat it there. So what you get is you get steak houses. Okay, steakhouses are something which you get very commonly in America, and steaks are either grilled or they are barbecued. They're grilled or barbecued, and there are French terms for this, and this is very important because when you sit for interviews or when you sit for IT interviews and sit for exams also, people, they generally ask you what are the different terms of doneness, French terms of doneness. Okay, so there are different French terms of doneness. Even if you go to America someday, अगर आप कभी अमेरिका जाएंगे and you order a steak, they will ask you, sir, how do you want your steak? How would you like your steak to be cooked? Then you have to tell them, no, I want rare, I want medium rare, I want medium well, or I want well done. Well done is something which very few people say. Why? Because well done is something which is associated जनरल सोशल एसोसिएशन ऐसे लोगों का है वेल्डन से जिनको खाने के बारे में पता नहीं, तो वहां पे वेल्डन मीट कोई नहीं खाती. अगर वेल्डन स्टेक मैं बोलता हूं जाके, देन people will stare at me, oh my god, he's ordering weldon steaks. Why is ordering weldon steaks? And it is totally opposite to how we do cooking. We want everything to be well done. They want their steaks to be medium rare, medium well, rare. That's how these Westerner people, they eat their steak. Okay, sir, is green del by LPG? Web of L. I'll come to that question. Just hold on to it. I'll come to that. Okay, so rare French terms जो होती हैं वो अलग-अलग French terms होती हैं doneness की. पहला जो done है, अगर मैं steak कभी पका रहा हूँ, if I say rare, then rare in French means oubla. So I've written the pronunciations in bracket. This is the French term and this is the pronunciation. Oubla is the pronunciation. Then there is medium rare or underdone. That means Signon. Okay, Signon. It is written Saignant, but it is pronounced as Signon. Then there is medium well. That is known as a point. So it is written as a point, but it is pronounced as a point. Then there is well done, which means bien cuit, written as bien cuit, but it is pronounced as bien cuit. So these are few French terms for doneness of meats. जब भी आप steak house में जाते हैं, the waiter who is there, who is serving you, will definitely come and ask you, sir, how do you want your steak to be cooked? Then it is up to you to say, no, I want my steak to be medium rare. I want my steak to be medium well. And if you are in France, you have to say, I want my steak to be Signon or steak à point. You have to say like this. Then only they will understand that how you want your meat to be cooked. It is very, very important. And if you are in a restaurant and you know how a medium well or a medium rare steak it looks, and if it is not like that, you can always give it back to the chef. Chef will cook it and give it back to you, or he will make it again and give it back. The Westerners are very, very, or the Europeans are very particular about how they eat their steaks. तो well done steaks को बहुत नीची नजरों से देखा जाता है वेस्टर्न कुजिन. एंड अभी डोनाल्ड ट्रंप पे, अगर आप लोगों ने आर्टिकल पढ़ा होगा, थोड़े दिन पहले डोनाल्ड ट्रंप पे भी एक आर्टिकल आया था वेयर डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ईट्स वेल डन स्टेक्स. सो उन्होंने पूरे आर्टिकल को उसकी जो पर्सनालिटी है उससे मैच करके बताया. ठीक है, नाउ कमिंग बैक टू वेबर्स क्वेश्चन. वेबर से ना is grilling done by LPG? Vaibhav, LPG is just a fuel. ठीक है बेटा, LPG is a fuel. वो LPG हो सकता है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी हो सकता है, कोल हो सकता है, वुड हो सकता है. It can be anything. What you want is heat to come out. Now fuel can be anything. But in barbecuing, generally जो fuel use होते हैं वो है wood और coal. LPG, electricity are not used. Generally in barbecuing, the coal or wood is used because the flavor comes from the wood. Okay, flavor comes from the wood. So this is all what we have discussed today, guys. We have discussed shallow frying, deep frying difference. Then we came to stir frying, how Oriental cuisine has influenced us. Then we came to broiling, which is heating with no fat. Then we came to baking, that is heating with in a hot oven, and then it's come to grilling. Grilling, Arman, is different. Grilling is similar to broiling. Okay, grilling and broiling are similar. Grilling is different. Okay, and there are some French terms for grilling. So what we'll do is we will close the class for today here on this. What you can do is I'll send you the notes and you can go through the notes on this. Just read about Kobe Beef, steak houses, all these things. There are some fascinating. Ugly Delicious is a very beautiful show on Netflix. If you have a Netflix there, you can go and you can read about all these things. Attendance, Ranveer, I'll take it from the chat box, so you don't have to worry. I've taken the photo of the participants who are there, so I'll take it from the chat box. So you don't have to worry about the attendance. Okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. It's a Monday morning. To be very frank, I was expecting a little less people. I thought because it's a Monday morning, a little less people will be joining in today. Anyways, so we will take it forward from where we left from the last class. That's on Friday. So we will take it forward from there. We have done till grilling. So before grilling, we talked about baking. We talked about broiling. What is stir frying? What are the different types of frying? That is deep frying and shallow frying. What are the differences? Then we also talked a little bit about sauteing. And then gradually, when we were doing grilling, we spoke about different French terms that are used for grilling, right? So we spoke about all those things. Now, taking it forward, we will come to the next method of cooking, that is roasting. Okay, so we'll come to the next method of cooking, that is roasting. Now, roasting is one primitive method of cooking. When people started cooking food, obviously when we started cooking food and we haven't discovered agriculture and all, we were meat eaters. That's what we were. We were carnivores and we were omnivores, to be very frank. We used to eat meat and we used to eat vegetables, whatever we can cook. But when we figured out that we can cook through fire, roasting was one of the most primitive method of cooking that we figured out. It was very simple. You caught your game, whatever you want to catch, you catch your game, and then you just start cooking them on an open fire. That was roasting at that time. Then as man evolved his or her skills in cooking, the roasting also evolved gradually. Okay, so roasting is one of the most primitive methods of cooking, and in Western cooking, it is one of the most favorable methods. So when we talk about Western cooking which is done in West, especially in America, South America and North America, roasting, you'll find that they do a lot of roastings, and barbecue is one of the type of roasting. So anything which is Western to us, even the Middle Eastern countries. Now, Middle East is a very funny word. We use Middle East, but it is not East to us. It is actually West to us, but it is Middle East to the Western people. That's why they gave the name Middle East to that Persian, that Gulf area. So those Gulf areas also, people they started using a lot of roasting techniques, and from there only we got tandoor. So tandoor is not indigenous to us. Tandoor came from Persia. So it's just in the same way, in America and South America, roasting is one of the most primitive and one of the most favorable method of cooking. Okay, so there are different types of roasting. First one is spit roasting. Now, spit roasting is is a type of roasting which is very famous in Mediterranean countries. It is very famous in Mediterranean countries, and Mediterranean means the countries which surround the Mediterranean Sea. So the countries which surround the Mediterranean Sea, that is the Mediterranean countries, and in those countries, the most favorable method of cooking was spit roasting for pretty long period of time. Now, because now there is lot of migration happening, people are moving from one place to another. So steaming, sauteing, the influence of Asian cooking you can find in Mediterranean countries and all. So other forms of cooking have also picked up pace. But before that, spit roasting was one of the most favorable method there. Okay, very popular in Greece, very popular in Egypt, very popular in all the Mediterranean countries which we see. What is spit roasting? Spit roasting is a form of cooking where we take the meat, we put it on a skewer, like how we do it in tandoor. We put it on a skewer, but unlike tandoor, we cook it on a direct heat. So direct heat is cooking the meat. So it's like one of the most primitive method of cooking. That is called spit roasting. Still, people do spit roastings. There are a lot of hunters and a lot of chefs who prefer spit roasting till now, but that is done for large, uh, large cuts of meat now. Okay, not for the smaller cuts of meat. For smaller cuts of meat, they have different methods of roasting now. Okay. Apart from spit roasting, the next type of roasting is tandoor. Now, tandoor we got it from Persia. Tandoor we got it from Persia, and tandoor is not indigenous to India, but it is a method which was made very famous in Indian subcontinent. So India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, you'll find that in these countries, this method of cooking became very famous. Why? Because it was something which was brought to us. It was something which was kind of a cultural shock to us because we didn't knew that something like this can be done. Although in some of the Indian cooking, you'll find that we were doing similar techniques to what roasting is. We were already cooking in fire, but cooking in a clay oven, that is in a tandoor, was something which was brought to us through Persia. But we adopted it. It is beautifully adopted to Indian cuisine, and you'll figure out that now in Indian cuisine, it is one of the most favorable method of cooking. Why it is one of the most favorable method of cooking is because very less oil is used. It is a healthy method of cooking. It is a faster way of cooking, and it gives that smoky flavor which to a certain extent we Indians love. So tandoor became a very favorable method of cooking. So what is the difference between tandoor and spit roasting? In spit roasting, we are cooking on a live fire. In tandoor, what we are doing is we have taken that fire, but we have a fuel, that is coal is there. We have taken it and we have surrounded it with a clay pot. So it's in a clay pot oven. So that's what tandoor makes it different. Skewers are used here also. Skewers are used in spit roasting also. Gopal, just hold on to that question. I'll come to shawarma. It is a kind of spit roasting, but I'll come to it. Okay. After tandoor, the next is barbecue. Now, barbecue is very much similar to your grilling. I remember one of the students, Ranveer, I think he asked whether grilling and roasting are the same. It is almost the same. The only difference in grilling is that we are looking for that grill marks. Okay, so we are looking for grill marks, those single line marks there. But here in in barbecue, what happens is even if you don't have, if you don't get grill marks in barbecue, what we do is we take meats and we take meats and we cook it on a fuel. So there is fire in here also, like any other roasting, but over the fire we are putting coal, we are putting wood, and over coal and wood we are putting the meat. So meat is actually, the fire is actually radiating from the fuel. Okay, so fuel can be coal, fuel can be wood. Generally, it is coal or wood. We don't use any other kind of fuel for barbecuing because wood, depending on what kind of wood you're using, cider wood, mango wood, it gives flavor to the meat also. Or coal. Coal is one of the most primitive methods. And in coal also, if you can put some herbs on top of the coal, the smokiness of those herbs also gets into your barbecuing. So this is what barbecuing is. It is much more similar to grilling. The only difference I find between barbecue and grilling is that in grilling, you'll figure out that there are that grill marks which you require. And barbecue, it is not a compulsion there. Barbecue is different from spit roasting because in spit roasting they are cooking with direct fire. In barbecuing there is no direct fire, there is fire, but that fire is radiating through the coal and wood. Okay, so that is barbecue. Apart from barbecue, the other dry method of cooking is your rotisserie or vertical spit. Now, this is what shawarma is. So, Gopal Arvind Mishra has asked a question that what is shawarma example of spit roasting? This is shawarma. Now, in shawarma is very famous in Lebanon. Now, if you go to Turkey, that is much more closer to the Western country. You'll go to Turkey, you will figure that in Turkey, doner kebab is more famous. If you go to Mexico, now Mexico is totally different. It is not a Mediterranean country. If you go to Mexico, that is in North America, that is just below your United States of America. If you go to Mexico, you'll find that they do a taco there, which is called as tacos el pastor. Now, tacos el pastor is same like shawarma. So they cook the meat like this only. They cut it and they put it in a taco and they give. And it is one of the most famous method of making tacos in Mexico. And that happens because a lot of people from Lebanon and Turkey, they migrated to Mexico. When they migrated during Ottoman rule. So during Ottoman rule, लोगों को मार रहे थे. उस टाइम पे वहाँ के लोग भाग के जो skilled professionals थे वो भाग के जब Mexico आए, they came there and they started making tacos el pastor, and it became one of the most famous tacos in the world now. Okay, and it is totally dependent on spit roasting. Now, rotisserie or vertical spit, or how you say shawarma or doner kebab, is an example of spit roasting. The only difference is in a primitive spit roasting or in an old spit roasting, you'll find that the heat is coming from the bottom and meat is on the top. You can rotate it manually also, you can rotate it through machine also, but meat is getting rotated and it is getting cooked. In a vertical spit, it is different. In a vertical spit, heat is at the back and meat is rotating in front of the meat. It is rotating in front of the meat. What happens here is much more even cooking and heat is also less. So it's a long method of cooking. It's a slow method of cooking, but the moistness remains intact in this. So moistness remains intact, and it is one of the most primitive. It is also one of the most primitive method of cooking, which was used in Middle Eastern country, but now made famous throughout. Now you will find if you go to any other metropolitan city, I have still to figure out one place in Ranchi, but if you go to any other metropolitan city, you will see that shawarma joints are everywhere. It is one of the most famous method of cooking. Okay, spit roasting. So this is spit roasting. It is different. It is vertical spit roasting. It is different from primitive spit roasting. It is different from tandoor, and it is different from barbecue. So there are four types of roasting which we do. One is vertical spit, second is barbecue, third is your tandoor, and fourth is your original spit roasting. So there are four kinds of spit roasting. Spit roasting, that is the original one. Then there is a tandoor, then there is barbecue, and then there is your rotisserie or vertical spit. Okay, so these are the different types of heating methods where dry heat methods are used. There are a lot of methods still there are a lot of cooking methods in which we don't use dry heat methods. We're using moist heat methods. Now, moist heat methods are methods in which there are some kind of water which is associated with cooking. So it can be poaching, it can be boiling, it can be simmering. So there are different types of cooking methods where water is also included in the cooking. So let's see what are those methods. So moist heat methods are cooking food with water or with steam. It can be with water, it can be with steam. One of the most famous method of moist heat is poaching. Why poaching is most famous is because one of the most classical dishes in the world, that is egg benedict, is made through this method. That is poaching. Now poaching is different from boiling. Boiling आप सबको पता है, आप लोग घर में egg boil करते हैं, vegetables boil करते हैं soup के लिए. जब आप boiling करते हैं, आप चाहते हैं उसमें एक बहुत ज्यादा उबाल आए, जिसको हम कहते हैं boil हो रहा है, उबाल आ रहा है. 100 डिग्री सेल्सियस से ऊपर जब जाता है टेम्परेचर, तब उसको हम बॉइलिंग कहते हैं. लेकिन जब हम पोचिंग की बात करते हैं, poaching is totally different. Yes, poached egg mishra. Poaching is totally different. Poaching is a moist method of cooking in which food is gently simmered. So food लेते हैं, उसको पानी के अंदर डालते हैं, लेकिन बॉइलिंग नहीं करते, हम सिमरिंग करते हैं। हम करते कैसे, हम पहले पानी को उबाल लेते हैं, फिर उसकी आंच कम कर देते हैं, so the temperature goes down. Temperature is between 70 to 96 degrees Celsius, and between that temperature we put the food stuff in. It's a slow method of cooking, used especially for very delicate cuts of it can be delicate of fish, it can be delicate food stuff like egg and fish are generally things which are poached. Okay, next is poaching. Let's see what poaching is. Poaching is which means to cook. Poaching means which means to cook food in. Poaching means which means to cooked in water that is hot but not bubbling. So it's usually tender, delicate foods like eggs or fish, which are used for poaching. Okay, the temperature in poaching is between 70 to 96 degrees Celsius. So what you do is you take a pan, you put water in it, you take a pot, put water in it, and make the water boil. Once the water boils, you simmer it. So the temperature goes down gradually. When the temperature goes below 96 degrees Celsius, then you slip in the things you want to poach. So it can be egg, it can be fish, whatever you are poaching in that liquor. Make sure that you use the liquid again to make the sauce, which goes in accompanying with it. So that because the liquid is used, whatever we are poaching, especially for fish. If you're poaching fish, we use the liquid in which the food is being poached, and that liquid is used to make accompanying sauces of poached vegetables or poached egg or poached fish, whatever things we are poaching. एक चीज ध्यान रखनी है पोचिंग में जो टेम्परेचर होता है वो 70 और 96 डिग्री सेल्सियस के बीच में होना चाहिए. पोचिंग में मोड ऑफ हीट ट्रांसफर कन्वेक्शन है. अगर आप देखेंगे हीट यहाँ से आती है, ठीक है, हीट नीचे से आएगी, नीचे से आके वो पहले किसको गर्म करेगी, वाटर को गर्म करेगी. सो द मीडियम इज गेटिंग हीटेड फर्स्ट. वंस द मीडियम गेट्स हीट, इट विल हीट द फूड स्टफ. सो द मीडियम गेट्स हीटेड फर्स्ट and the food stuff get heated accordingly. So this is called convection. This method of cooking is called convection. So method of heat transfer is convection. Method of cooking is poaching. Mishra, I'll come to it. There are few things which you have to keep in mind when you are poaching. First thing is that water temperature should be between 70 to 96 degrees Celsius. That is very, very important. Second thing is whenever we are poaching anything, that is egg, fish, any delicate food stuff, when we are poaching, we have to add little bit of acid into the liquid, which is not required when we are doing boiling. हम जब अंडा बॉईल करते हैं हम उसमें एसिड तो नहीं डालते. यूजुअली हम उसमें नमक डाल देते हैं. नमक हम इसलिए डालते हैं ताकि जो भी चीज हम बॉईल कर रहे हैं उसमें थोड़ा सॉल्टी फ्लेवर चला जाए. ठीक है, हमारे जो शेफ्स हुआ करते थे, like chefs whom I have worked with, they used to tell me that, Tom, whenever you are boiling food stuff, whenever you are boiling anything, any vegetable, any potato, the water should be as salty as sea water. They used to add that much amount of salt. इतना ज़्यादा नमक डालो कि वो समुद्र के पानी जितना हो. It should be as salty as a sea water. Then only the food which you are adding in will absorb salt. And when it absorbs salt, the natural flavor of the food stuff comes out. So whenever you are boiling something, you add salt into it. But whenever you are poaching something, the temperature is lower than boiling, and we always poach it in an acidic medium. So acidic medium can be your vinegar, it can be lemon juice, or if you go even more traditionally, even if you go to bread baking. Now we are bakers. If I talk about bread baking, then in bagels, we poach bagels. जब हम bagels को poach करते हैं, bagels एक Jewish dish है, एक Jewish bread है, वो poach करके बनाई जाती है. जब उसको मैं poach करता हूँ तो उसमें मैं honey डालता हूँ. Honey भी acidic है. तो जब आप poaching करते हैं तो आप कुछ भी acidic जरूर डालते हैं. So it is always done in an acidic medium. Why it is done in acidic medium is because if I'm going to poach something which is not in an acidic medium, then there are chances that मैं उसके surface को deteriorate कर दूँ. क्योंकि ये long process है cooking का, हो सकता है उसके ऊपर का जो the top surface may start coming out. It will start breaking down because it's a delicate food. A fish can break down. Moment I put acid in it, acid will safeguard my food. So whatever food I'm putting in, it is going to safeguard the food. So that is why whenever we are poaching, we put acidic medium. We put vinegar, lemon juice, honey, any kind of acidic medium should go in. Class के बाद sir. Guys, just hold on, please.
Sir, degree class चल रही है first year. क्योंकि सेम अभी आते मैडम की क्लास ले रही फर्स्ट ईयर.
नहीं, टाइम टेबल मेरी क्लास है. वो बोले चेक करो. Clear, guys? Is it clear? Yes. What is poaching? How it is different from boiling? How poaching is different from boiling? Poaching is different from boiling because boiling temperature is always kept between 70 to 96 degrees Celsius, while in boiling temperature goes above 100 degrees Celsius. The liquid which is used for poaching is always used to make accompanying sauces. So liquid which is used would always used to make accompanying classes. And an acidic medium. Guys, just hold on for a minute, please.
आरती has taken by mistake your class right now. तो वो skip करिए class, बच्चे आपके यहाँ entry हो इन करते हैं बच्चों. ठीक है ना?
Yeah, guys, there was some confusion with the class. That is okay. That is fine. We are admitting students who are coming in. That's totally fine. Okay. So now coming back to poaching points, where were we? Yeah, poaching. So poaching is we always guys, you can see my screen, right? There's a lot of confusion today in the morning. You can see my screen. Abhishek, can you see? Can you just put it? I can see only you. So if you can just put yes or no, then it'll be fine. You can see the scan? Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Yes, whatever you have, if there is any question, you can put it on chat box, guys. I can see the chat box. I'll answer from there. It's easy for me that way. Okay. Thank you, Rohit. So now coming back again to poaching. What is poaching? We always keep the temperature below boiling point. That is 70 to 96 degrees Celsius. It is always done in an acidic medium. So acidic medium is required for poaching. It is always done on acidic medium. The ratio of water and vinegar is 10:1. Now this is very important. Whenever we are poaching something, we always do it in an acidic medium. That is, it can be vinegar or it can be lemon juice. Whenever we are using vinegar or lemon juice, the ratio we generally follow is 10:1. So if it is 1 liter of water, we are going to add around 100 ml of vinegar into it. So just make sure that you follow the same ratio. It can be less also depending on how delicate your food stuff is, but if it is very delicate, you can make it 10:1. Now poaching liquor, the liquor which is used for poaching, generally if I'm poaching a fish, what I add is I add vinegar or lemon juice. Then sometimes people also add wine into poaching liquor. Wine is also acidic. People add wine also into poaching liquor. They poach in wine also, liquor that is with water, with wine and vinegar. Then I add some bay leaves, spices. I add peppercorn. I generally add a little bit of salt. All these things goes in when I'm poaching a fish. Okay, so whenever I'm poaching a fish, I add all these things. And because I add all these things, and because fish is remaining inside that poaching liquor for a long period of time, when I take out the fish, when it is fully cooked, I take it out. The liquid which is there is quite flavorful. It has the flavor of fish. So that liquid only I use it to make my accompanying sauces. Generally, white wine, Ranjit, white wine is used for fish and all. We don't use red wine. And red wine is generally used with red meats. It goes well with red meats. Okay. Then poaching liquor is known as, in French, poaching liquor is called coute bouillon. Coute bouillon. Okay. So we call it is written as coute bouillon. Cote boilon, if you can say it in English, but it is coute bouillon. Coute bouillon is poaching liquor. So if somebody asks you what is a French for poaching liquor, this is generally a question which is asked in interviews. What is a French for poaching liquor? French for poaching liquor is coute bouillon. Okay, it is not fumet. Fumet is fish stock. So there's a difference between fumet and coute bouillon. Fumet is fish stock. Fumet, F-U-M-E-T. Fumet is fish stock, while I'm sorry, I have messages directly to fumet is fish. What What is happening? Monday blues, guys. Fume is fish stock, and poaching liquor is, you already know, poaching liquor is good bouillon. Okay, so that is your poaching points. Now coming to the next method of moist heat method, that is your boiling. Now boiling is a little different from poaching. Why? Because in boiling you can see there's a lot of bubbling happening. In poaching, less bubbles happening because temperature is low. Temperature is low. These are not eggs, guys. These are my bubbles. Okay, spare me for the very bad drawing which I put it, but yeah, that is bubbles. Okay, and this is boiling. You will find there's a lot of activity happening. Why there is a lot of agitation happening is because water is above, temperature is above 100 degrees Celsius. That is when it starts boiling. When we are boiling something, we generally don't take delicate stuff. Why we don't take delicate stuff is because temperature is too high. Because the temperature is too high while boiling, if I'm going to take delicate food stuff, there's chance that I can completely break down. So I take tough meats for boiling, I take tough vegetables for boiling. If by any chance I'm boiling delicate food stuff like a broccoli or small baby carrot, if I'm boiling any of these stuff, I'll take it out as soon as possible. That's why we do blanching for these things for delicate foods. But when we're boiling like tough food, we will allow it to boil it nicely. We want it to break down, and then we can use it to do other methods of cooking. So generally boiling is not the last method of cooking. After boiling, people take it out and they simmer it, they braise it, they make accompanying sauce with it. So they do different types of things, and then only they finish the things. Boiling, as such, boiling, yeah, in some of the dishes, you can say that boiling is the final step of cooking. Maybe people eat boiled vegetables, they boil it, take it out, season it, and eat it also. That is also done. Ranjit, yes, root vegetables are generally boiled. Okay. Then boiling points, food should be completely immersed in liquid. Same thing happens with poaching also. Food has to be completely immersed in liquid. Method is used for tougher and stronger food items. We have already spoken about it. Vegetable grown above the ground should be start at boiling point. Vegetable grown below the ground can be done in cold water. This we already discussed in the class also before, that whatever grows above the ground, जो भी सब्जियां जमीन से ऊपर उगती हैं, उन सब सब्जियों को जब हम बॉईल करते हैं, हमें पानी को पहले बॉईल कर लेना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर मैं ठंडे पानी में शुरू करूंगा तो टेम्परेचर टाइम ज्यादा लेगा, उतने टाइम में डेलिकेट फूड स्टफ्स ब्रेक डाउन हो सकते हैं. लेकिन जो जमीन के नीचे उगते हैं वो ज्यादातर टफ होते हैं, वो जो वेजिटेबल्स होते हैं टफ होते हैं, तो उनको अगर मैं कोल्ड वाटर में भी शुरू करता हूँ, इट डजंट हैम्पर टू मच ऑफ द टेक्सचर. ठीक है, ये कुछ चीजें ध्यान रखेंगे. द ओनली थिंग यू हैव टू कीप इन माइंड, लाइक हाउ व्हाट माय शेफ यूज्ड टू से, whenever you are boiling something, water should be as salty as a sea water. Always you are boiling anything, whatever you're boiling in life now, water should be as salty as a sea water. Next, apart from boiling, there are few other methods which we generally, it is not in a syllabus, we don't talk about it, but we generally use it invariably in our kitchens. First is simmering. Simmering is application, and we are applying heat and then we are cutting down the heat. So simmering is cutting down heat. कभी कभी जब आप घर में बॉईल करते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल बॉइलिंग मिल्क, तो दूध उबलने लगता है तो मम्मी उसका आंच कम कर देती है, आप लोग आंच कम करते हो. That is simmering. Simmering is you are cooking in water, but you are cooking gently. So there are bubbles, but there are less. Something similar to your poaching. The only difference between simmering and poaching is, poaching we are doing acidic medium. Always in acidic medium. Simmering not required. ठीक है. सिमरिंग हम बहुत सारे फूड स्टफ्स का करते हैं. जनरली इंडिया में आपको करीज दिख जाएंगे, जितने भी करीज हम बनाते हैं, वी ऑलवेज सिमर इट फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. जब हम कुछ भी, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई एम मेकिंग अ चिकन करी, नाउ आई हैव, or I'm making a mutton curry, for example. In mutton curry, I boil mutton. Sometimes I boil mutton in a stock in pressure cooker. Then I take it out and then I put it in a gravy and let it simmer also for a long period of time. So I use both the methods. I use boiling and simmering. Sometimes I roast it and then put it for simmering. So there are different methods of of doing foods, but simmering, yes, it is one of the methods which we use invariably in our kitchen. Weber was asking what are the advantage of boiling in salty water. Weber, if we boil it in salty water, then the food which we are boiling will get, that salt will penetrate inside and it will release the natural flavors. So when you eat a vegetable which has been boiled in salted water, you will figure out that it tasted far more natural. So if I'm going to taste a broccoli, okay, which is boiled in salted water, it is really going to taste like a broccoli. It's going to taste amazingly good. So that is simmering. After simmering, the next method is blanching. Blanching में आपको देखते हैं जो पहले 4 वर्ड हैं, पहले 5 जो अल्फाबेट्स हैं, BLANC, that is blanc. Blanc means white. So blanching is a word which has been taken from a French word which means to whiten. Okay, which means to whiten. It is actually not a direct method of cooking. It is not a method of cooking which is written generally in books and all. It is a method of cooking which we follow, and after blanching there is another method of cooking which follows. So blanching मेरा last method of cooking कभी नहीं होता है. ब्लांच वेजिटेबल्स को मैं इधर टॉस करता हूँ, बटर में सॉल्ट पेपर लगाता हूँ, मैं कुछ ना कुछ ब्लांच वेजिटेबल्स के साथ उसके बाद फिर आगे करता हूँ. सो ब्लांचिंग इज लाइक यू कैन से दैट इट इज अ फर्स्ट मेथड ऑफ कुकिंग. तो जब भी मैं किसी वेजिटेबल को पकाता हूँ, ब्लांचिंग को मैं हमेशा फर्स्ट मेथड ऑफ कुकिंग रखता हूँ, क्योंकि जब भी मैं डेलिकेट वेजिटेबल्स को पकाऊंगा, तो अगर मैं ब्लांचिंग पहले करता हूँ तो मैं उसके टेक्सचर को रोक लेता हूँ. देन आई कैन जस्ट क्विकली टॉस इट, पुट सम salt, butter and pepper and serve it to the guest. So it's easy for me that way. Blanching helps me to safeguard the texture of a soft vegetable. ओके, ब्लांचिंग हम क्यों करते हैं? हम जनरली करते हैं कलर ब्राइटन करने के लिए. आपको याद होगा, आप लोगों ने ब्लांचिंग करी होगी क्लास में. ब्लांचिंग करते वक्त आप बॉइलिंग वाटर में डालते हैं, उसको निकालते हैं और फिर उसको ठंडे पानी में डालते हैं. वो ठंडे पानी में आप क्यों डालते हैं? ठंडे पानी में आप इसलिए डालते हैं क्योंकि आप उसकी कुकिंग को रोकना चाहते हैं. व्हेन यू स्टॉप द कुकिंग, यू सेव द टेक्सचर, you save the color. Now blanching, one thing you have to always keep in mind that when you are blanching green vegetables, you always put green vegetables in boiling water, boiling salted water, and then you take it out as fast as you can. When you get a first boil, just take it out and dip it in ice cold water. ऐसे आप करने से आप क्लोरोफिल जो होता है उस पिगमेंट को आप बचा लेते हैं, वो हरी सब्जियां हरी दिखती है. ठीक है. Blanching is always incomplete without shocking or refreshing. Shocking or refreshing are the terms which we use when we take a vegetable out and we put it in cold water. Okay. Now Alankrit is asking, same goes with that also, if you boil it in also. Alankrit, even if you're boiling egg also, you will put it in a salt water only. Why? Because there are two ways of doing it. Either you don't put it, then you put salt at the end. आप जनरली बॉईल करने के बाद फिर जब किसी को देते हैं तो आप सॉल्ट पेपर ऊपर डाल के देते हैं, या तो वो कर लो या फिर आप सॉल्टेड वाटर में डालो. एग इज पोरस, इट विल गो इनसाइड, इट विल बी फैंटास्टिकली वेल इफ यू डू इट इन अ सॉल्टेड वाटर. ओके. So blanching, this is blanching. Blanching is generally done for for delicate foodstuffs. So delicate foodstuffs can be blanching is generally done for delicate foodstuff. Delicate foodstuff can be your green vegetables, can be your baby vegetables, can be your very delicate cut of chicken. If you want, you can just boil it for a while and take it out, and then you can finish it frying and all those things you can do. But blanching, generally we say we do it for vegetables. We don't do it for meats. We generally keep it for vegetables. Boiling is done in high heat. Ranveer, above 100 degrees Celsius is called boiling. Okay. People in Chinese cuisine, you will find that people do blanching with oil also. So there is people who put in hot oil, take it out, and then they finish it again. Okay. They do it that way also. So these are some of the methods of cooking. I hope everybody have gone through whatever we have discussed. What I can do is I can share the PPT with you guys also, and then if there is any doubt, you can always approach me. You can mail me or you can message me, or in the next class you can ask me questions, guys. Okay. So yeah, that's it for today. What I'll do is I'll just take a quick photograph of all the people who have joined. Otherwise, I can take it from the next class also. Whoever is the next class, I'll take the attendance of people who have joined. In case I miss it, I'm going to take a photograph. But in case I miss it, you can